What's going on YouTube? Darksword255 here with the numbers may be randomly generated, but the content itself is not. And guys, now that the fusion is done, I had an epiphany. Well, I didn't, a viewer of mine did over the weekend. They sent me this idea. So with the new fusion that we just finished, guys, she has a really unique passive, if I could spell her name right. And so in today's video, we are going to showcase an amazing and broken combo with this newest champion here. First of all, can we just... Anyways, without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump right into things. So I have not come out with a champion guide video yet. I will after this video is done, but I wanted to get this video out as soon as possible because it's very unique. Obviously you need a certain champion, but I'm going to showcase and tell you some different ways to also make this work. So how Mavara, I think I said her name right, works, really cool. She puts fervor down. There's not a lot of champions in the game that put fervor down, but this is very unique. So her A1 places fervor buff for 2 turns on a random ally except this champion. If the champion selected is already under a fervor, they places on somebody else. Cool, blah. We don't really necessarily care about that. This is what is really important. Allies under fervor buff have a 50% chance to join an attack. So basically this ability, which again, you know, the champion's been out for a little, you know, people have already talked about this, basically turns your entire team into a 50% turtle team, right? As long as they have fervor on there. Again, not the first person to talk about this, but how do we get fervor on all of our champions? Well, there are multiple ways to do that. You can have a buff spreader like Loki. I mean, there's a whole, you know, like Mad Hatter, that once there's one buff, it will spread it across all your champions, and then you can go ahead and then, you know, buff extend, or you can use this absolutely broken combo with this one champion that actually puts fervor down without using an artifact, and that is a brand new champion, Pallas. So that is a big reason why I am on my free-to-play account right now, because I don't have this on my main account. Now, what makes Pallas unique? Well, her A2 puts down fervor on everybody. And as we just read, as long as fervor is down, it doesn't matter if she's placing the fervor, as long as it is being placed down, anybody with it will have a 50% chance to join the attack. So using Pallas in a team basically guarantees you to either always have fervor on all of your champions, or that if you're not using her to place it down on everybody and then buff extending it, that she's always pumping. Using her as a combination for a lot of different either wave content, using her in Hydra in particular, I'll showcase the team that I'm using her in right now, is amazing. It's amazing. And like I said, you know, there are different ways to use Mavara, if again, I'm not saying her name right, with like buff spreaders and stuff, but why not pair her with Pallas? And I'll show you guys how I have them both built so you guys have a basic understanding. So this isn't going to be so much of a guide, guys, but I'm only going to be using her for me and my account for PvE. She's amazing. So I have her in a 9-piece protection, and since I'm going to be pairing her with Pallas, obviously, you know, some of the buffs, you know, overlap, but you're still able to at least give them that bonus that you would get from protection, which is 75% chance of placing protected buffs, and then you give 5% bonus damage. Again, I know that a lot of their buffs overlap with each other, but that's okay. At least it gives you just that much more additional damage, right? So I have her as fast as I could with a decent amount of resistance because she's putting that increased resistance down. I wish that I could get this to 400, but almost 300 speed for PvE, I think is pretty good. Masteries are, as again, not a champion guide per se, but I have at least my Mavara here built in a 9-piece protection. And I actually recently, I think if you guys have not seen my Pallas video, when I built her, I did not have 9 pieces of protection. I just recently got the last piece that I need. So now my Pallas here is also in protection. So absolutely goated. She's a little bit on the, I say slower, you know, slower than the other people, but you know, she's really awesome. Again, check out my champion guide on her if you want to see how she kind of works. You know, if I had a perch souls, I think is what it's called, it would be on both of them, but you know, this is just kind of what I have right now. You know, masteries built almost identical, pretty awesome, but this is how you want to build these teams. So this is just a quick little team that I built here. I wish I had more like AoE attackers. That's really the only big downside of my particular account, my free-to-play account, is I don't have a lot of big AoE attacks. Especially, you really want people with AoE attacks here because they have a 50% chance of it joining the attack. So if they attack, then a bunch of AoE, like if they're A1s or AoE, then they're attacking all of the Hydra heads. So what I ended up doing instead, there was two options for this team. For me, I went with Tholen here. I could have also gone with Thor because then he can stack. How you want to build this team, in particular for Hydra, you want to build these teams with people who do, like I said, AoE attacks. That's why Crocard is here. Amazing AoE attack. Could also throw Inarsa, I think is how I say her name. She would also be great in this team because she also does an like a AoE attack. So basically people that have chances to AoE attack with their A1s, you want to have on this team because you're already going to have a lot of healing and reviving, especially with Pallas, healing, reviving. You have Mavara, healing, reviving, unkillable, strengthen, blah, 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 right? I would also say not having ally attack champions in here is probably the best. And I say that as in like not having like Lady Mikage or like Fat Man or, you know, anybody who's going to be Cardial, you know, anything like that, because you're already going to be having it in this kit. I would rather add an extra damage into this team than I would having, you know, an ally attacker, because everybody's going to be basically getting ally attack. So it's actually like really, really interesting. We're just going to run this team a little bit so I can showcase it. Just to see like everybody have like that chance to attack. Like that, like, oh my God, they just did it. Like right off the bat. That was awesome, dude. Like they all just ally attacked right there. Got that 50%. I think that if anything that I could replace, you know, if the best thing I think to make this team the best, saying this in quote, adding Wicks in here would probably be that, just as a buff extender, or maybe even having like 2 buff extenders and 2 damage dealers. Your AoE, like your AoE damage, like Crowcar would have to be like your best in like damage, because then you would basically be you know, attacking, right? And that's why I actually threw Tholen in here, because it's A1 is an AoE, and then it also gives him a chance of going again. So, and he could stack. It's you know, oh, I did it again. Dude, look at this. So this is not an optimized team. Again, this is just like a team that I kind of quickly threw together. But just imagine, even throwing this team with like really hard hitting A1s, like a Fenix would be really, really good here, right? Because Fenix, his A1 hits really, really hard. So if you have him in this team, like hard hitting A1s, then he has a chance of also joining the attack, right? Obviously, like AoE damage is kind of going to be the best for this, because you're hitting all the Hydra heads, hoping that you're knocking them down, doing all the Hydra heads, like for damage and attacks. But you can obviously see how potent this can be. So I think what might be really interesting after I do come out with this video and you guys watch it and you're like, oh God, dude, this is like really, really cool. Let's see this. Let me see if I want to see if I can like make a quote unquote like high damage best in slot team with this, and then kind of report the damage back to you guys later. Let's just say that you don't have Pallas here. Oh my God, they're doing it again. Oh my God, look how cool that is. Let's say you don't have Pallas here, guys. Mad Hatter would be great. Loki would be great. Odin would be great. Those are just like buff spreaders just off the top of my head that I can list. Anybody who's going to like quickly get the fervor buff on all of your champions is going to be the best, just so you're not relying on her to like do her A1 and keep going. Because right now, without Pallas here, like her A1 is only the one putting fervor down, unless you have a hollowed hilt, which is a mythical, like, you know, it's a mythical thing, which, you know, not many people have. But pretty awesome Hydra team, guys, or at least like setup, guys. So this actually, for the most part, is a pretty accessible team. And I say that again, obviously in quotes, blah blah blah, right? But like, when you go into doing bosses and stuff, you want to always go in with a plan, right? A plan of attack. And now that most people, I mean, this feature just happened. Like you should have her. You need to figure out the best ways to utilize these champions. And this is one of the best ways. Buff spreaders or champions like Pallas here that just make your life easier. Look at but like you guys are seeing the ally attack happening again and again and again. It's really, really cool. What I do want to do some testing with, guys, also is in Chimera. It's either the Ram trial or it's one of the trials that is, might be Lion. It is the Lion trial that counterattacking and ally attacking is one of the trials. I'm interested to see if this passive will count for that. I would assume that it would count for that. But if you guys have had like a turtle team that has run Chimera, please let me know down in the comments, guys, if that does count for a trial. Let me know, guys. But like, look at this, dude. Look at, like, this team is not an optimized team. I kind of threw it together just for the showcase here. Like, even if my champions die, I have 2 people to revive. And look at this damage already, right? Like, this is so much additional damage because of all of the ally attacks that are happening. Look, it just happened again. Yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that this is a little bit insightful for you. And like I said, I'm going to make a guide kind of going over her. And in that guide, I'll probably showcase the quote unquote best team that I end up coming up with for Chimera and for Hydra, just to show you guys what I came up with and the damage numbers that I got. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see everybody in the next video.